there is a mindset, there's, your inner journey that helps with outer success. We don't say that, nothing it can be ignored. So if it is, for example, incorporating influencer strategy, how do you deal with that stress level, marketing to the right people while you're maintaining your sanity? So that's a connection we do between business strategy and inside world.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
500 million at the interview in this podcast, 1 out of 5 are tech and the companies have done successfully. Again, we but we need to share with the audience because people might be listening to the podcast to think that okay, if 1 out of 5, so what is the good, the bad, and the ugly tech businesses?
The good is if you are passionate about it. I feel like, it's very fulfilling because you get that adrenaline rush when people buy your product. The bad is it can be very competitive. And I can say that it wasn't very easy as a female brown tech founder. Raising money was very, very challenging. I had applied or talked to 500 investors. Out of that, I got like 100 maybe yes maybes, and so on and so forth. I mean, I had like comments from people like big bankers and big um, angel firms who said, what if you spend the money on shopping? And I'm like, I've just my business. So it was, for me, the bad was that I was against time because it was inventory and cash heavy. And it was challenging for me as a woman, as a single founder to raise. And the ugly was yes, there was definitely a bias for women as opposed to men doing this, because I even got, so I was in Bay Area because I thought, oh, Bay Area is the place to raise. But I started getting comments that we can have a tech guy who can be your CTO and build this quicker. Why do we need you? Things like that, like very direct and harsh comments. So that was the ugly.
So what is the main reason why women don't get funding in tech?
I don't know what people think. I just know from my side point of view that women just have challenges because they're compared with guys. And I think there's a bias that people think that guys can do tech better than women. And it's very clear and obvious when people started telling me that, oh, get a co-founder, get a guy who can do this. And I'm like, I'm an engineer. I'm improving the business model. I'm building a big tech team. And I still hear those. So obviously, people are biased that guys can do this better. Obviously, the stats show, right? Only 2% women get funded in tech. So there's stats to prove that.
Your story, why you decide to become an entrepreneur?
It was through a meditation, I'll be real. I I felt I wanted to do it just because it came through my meditation practice that this was my mission to create, and I didn't know where the path was leading me onto. I just wanted to take that risk at that time. No,
The
zero.
family and friends support you. So why did
They
it? What they told you when you said?
I, I didn't tell my family for 6 months. After I started seeing, after step two, when I started getting traction, and that's when I told my family, hey, I quit my job and I'm doing this, because my family was like totally in shock. I'm a third generation engineer. Everyone's worked for someone and they've done really, really well. I can say they're all successful people and very smart people, but none of them were risk takers like me for sure.
So tell us what because being a founder is a very lonely journey, and you need to go through different phases. 0 to 500,000, you are wearing on the hats all the time, and this process is very emotionally intense. So when do you realize that you have to grow the business, but also to look after yourself?
I think in the beginning, I lost it because everything was moving really fast. Like, there was a little bit of luck, like I said, with the whole YouTubers, but um, in a good way. Like, I we proved it and we started moving, but I had no idea where I was gonna get the inventory from. How do I get a warehouse? It was just like we had like 500-600 pending orders, and I had no idea how to fulfill them. That's when my family actually stepped in. Then I told them, like, I need help. My apartment became a warehouse. We all stayed in a hotel because my apartment was full of inventory. So, um, and then, but the challenges at that time, I wasn't noticing in my mind, even though I had my spiritual practices and awareness. I kept going like on 100 miles per hour because I knew that I had to fulfill all these orders and I had to make this work. I think it's after the first year when it hit me. And then I'm like, okay, the whole idea of this doing this was also to have fun and have a bigger purpose and mission, but I'm losing it now because even at work, and this is the pivotal point, and that you and I have spoken, and I want to mention this here. The reason this whole mental awareness thing started was because of funding. When I was feeling all that pressure, where would this go? This would go down to my team because I'm like, the only way to prove to an investor that we are worthy of receiving and getting this funding is to show more growth. There's no other way to show, right? These people would trust a guy over me because they think that they're better or they're more capable of building. But numbers show success in an ROI. So why don't we focus on that? And that put me under pressure and the team under pressure. And I'm like, okay, no one's really having fun. And my metrics were so high. We used to have like a whiteboard, and I put incentives like, hey, we crossed this number, we go on a boat trip, things like that. It's We should just go on a boat trip regardless. So why are we pushing it so hard? So anyway, it just became very, very stressful. I felt like I was a pressure cooker inside, and that's when I started bringing all the mindfulness practices at work. It was during the fundraising process.
Us a little bit more about these mindfulness practices. What
Sure.
you did?
So initially, I had no idea if people would resonate with it. I've been trained on doing a lot of meditation work since 2010. I've trained with teachers like Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza. I've done some neuroscience work also with Tara Sword. Anyway, so I was doing it more for my friends and family. I never thought I would do it outside of my house. And when I said there was such a pivotal point, my company would have crashed. I would have crashed. I was like living in like heart palpitations almost every day. I felt physically ill doing this work. So I'm like, why not bring this to work and see what happens? Worst case, they'll say no and it won't work. I just opened up the floor and I said, listen, this is getting a little too tense for all of us. Why don't I do a guided meditation and see? And if you don't like it, it's totally fine, but maybe it'll help us. And everyone volunteered. Yes, not everyone resonated. Obviously, I had these tech bros. I'm going to be biased against tech bros, but who didn't believe in it. But we did other things, including a USPS man. He was so stressed because he was taking thousands of packages, and we were like, "Don't lose them. Make sure you do this right." So I asked him, "Do you want to meditate?" He sat with us. He sat with us and meditated. And so I started doing guided meditations every day, and it started working. And at that time, I didn't know about leadership and mindfulness and business coaching. And I accidentally started doing that in the office. So I created like small teams where they were accountable. They would talk about personal stuff. They could keep each other in check. Then I opened up. I'm like, hey, everyone does not want to meditate. Why don't we do something else? What do you suggest? One person was like, let's do salsa for an hour. I'm like, okay, anything that would take our minds off of work and ground us, let's just do that. We did stand-up comedy. We did all sorts of things, like, just to make sure that we were, our relationship was better. We were grounded. We would go running, things like that. And now going back, I've learned that all that actually classifies as business coaching, leadership, and mindfulness. At that time, I didn't know. So yeah, that was the story behind it.
So, if people are in love with this conversation, people can find you how this process works.
Sure, it's the new platform's called awareness.intelligence.ai. And this is where we help founders and businesses to incorporate mindfulness practices and help you succeed, not just with ROI strategies, but also how this whole inner world mindset actually plays along. I'm sorry?
Name of your business before? Which one was the
I
business that you built?
Fashom?
Fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the website is
Fashom.com. Fashom.com.
and so what is your message for tech entrepreneurs having
Sorry?
hard time right now?
Okay. Well, number one, I would say that it all starts and ends with your mind. I've learned that in my journey, and I've learned it through a lot of people that I've coached. Um, you become your own coach after you know what is going on. So awareness is number one, to know what's stopping you and what's causing the stress, right? Unless you're aware of it, there's nothing you can do about it. The second step would be, once you know, how do you deal with it? So again, depends on what level of stress you're having. But instead of focusing on the problem, focus on the solution. That would be my suggestion. If it is something related to, let's say time management, then you have to understand that if you don't give yourself that time, nothing else would work because you're focused on the outside more than the inside. So I know people always argue, oh, if I sit down and meditate for 30 minutes, that's taking away 30 minutes from my time. But the 30 minutes you spend on yourself would increase your productivity. And a number of hours don't necessarily translate into tasks done, you know? So yeah, that would be my advice. Spend a little time for yourself on work on yourself before you work for others.
So tell us a little bit more about your new venture.
Sure. So awareness intelligence basically came out of my TED talk. I was asked about this journey. That's the way I described it to you, what happened, and the company was crashing. And I coined this term called awareness intelligence, which is also an acronym for AI. So basically, the idea is for people to understand in the world of AI how your internal AI helps you succeed. So we help founders and businesses to understand there is a mindset, there's, your inner journey that helps with outer success. We don't say that, nothing it can be ignored. So if it is, for example, incorporating influencer strategy, how do you deal with that stress level, marketing to the right people while you're maintaining your sanity? So that's a connection we do between business strategy and inside world.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.